from all that we have been following in this room, all the UN bodies, including the Human Rights Council, the General Assembly with 193 members, a majority of those, almost all of the United Nations Security Council members, and the United Nations Secretary General himself, they have been calling on so many instances to end the carnage in Gaza and also to prevent the West Bank from turning into a new Gaza. But it seems, I mean, we call the UN the organization responsible for maintaining peace. It's unable to stop Israel, and now Israel is planning to expand its military land operations in Gaza, and the calls for annexation of occupied lands is growing. So last week, I know there was another report on the UN 80 initiative. While the Secretary General is pushing forward with this to improve the workings of the UN, considering the current situation, does he think that the reputation and effectiveness of the UN can be salvaged from what it is right now?
He certainly does. The UN's reputation includes a proven track record of results for people around the world, whether you're talking about the decolonization efforts for the first decades of the organization's history, successful diplomatic negotiations in different parts of the world, or the humanitarian assistance that is keeping billions of people alive in places like Gaza and Sudan even now. The fact is, what is lacking at different periods of our history, and this is not the first time that we've pointed this out, is international unity. The UN is literally this, United Nations. If there continues to be disunity among nations, and particularly in the bodies of the member states, such as the Security Council, it hinders our effectiveness. But from our standpoint, we do believe that the UN 80 reform process will enable us to achieve greater effectiveness at lower cost and adapt us to the realities of the modern world. But your point, of course, has been largely about the situation in Gaza, and Gaza is one of the cases in which the Secretary General has been working with and pleading with nations to come together, and that's still an essential thing to do.
Does he have a special call in regarding Israel's plan to expand military operations or annexation in the occupied lands?
There's no legal recognition of any sort of annexation, and he calls again on Israel to abide by international law. Regarding military plans, it's been clear for 2 years that there's been no military solution to this conflict. And meanwhile, there's been a vast amount of suffering and a vast amount of death. It's time for a ceasefire. Deji, and then Raid.
A follow-up with a Serif's question, also on West Bank. It's been reported that the U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson went to Israel on a private trip, and during this trip he traveled to the illegal Israeli settlement in West Bank in Ariel. And what he said is, what I quote, being here in the place where our faith began, this has great significance. The Bible teaches that Judea and Samaria, which is the Israeli term of the West Bank, were promised to the Jewish people, and they belong to you by right. So given the fact this is a high U.S. officials' comments right there on the illegal settlement, what is the reaction from the Secretary General? Would he agree on this?
Our standpoint on the settlements, as you know, is that they are illegal under international law. And our standpoint on the West Bank is that obviously the Israelis and Palestinians are to negotiate a final settlement of their disputes with each other, but it has to be in the context of international law. And as you know, the Secretary General's support is for a two-state solution.
Technically speaking, if that's illegal settlement, so according to international law, would this action of being there himself illegal?
I wouldn't pronounce myself on whether simply being at a settlement is itself illegal, but the settlements themselves are in violation of international law, right?
Thank you, Farhan. The far-right Israeli minister Itamar Ben-Gvir yesterday stormed Al-Aqsa Mosque compound with tens of settlers, violating again the 1967 agreement that allowed only Muslims to pray in the mosque. What's any reaction on that?
From our standpoint, what we insist upon is that all parties must uphold the status quo at the holy sites, and that includes, of course, the status quo at Al-Aqsa Mosque.